Hello, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today we're doing our shaky cam interior review inside a 2019 Kia Forte. This Kia is all new this year, so they completely revamped the Forte and did a really good job. This is a very competitive vehicle now at an extremely competitive price. As I'm driving it right now, we're sitting in it, it's about $28,000, and this is almost as good as it gets. There's a couple of things you can add on. You can bump it up to around 30, but this starts nice and low on the spectrum. So this one right here is, I think, about $10,000 or more over the base price of this car. So very impressive. They did a good job on the interior. It is much less cheap. Wow, that's not awkward. It's not nearly as cheap as Kias of the past. Very well done, and it is black on black, which I don't like, but they did a good job. I'll show you some contrasts, and we'll look at what's going on the interior. So we start over here. We have doors, windows, etc. These are pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to explain very much. Over here, down there's the hood release. Down on the ground, it took me a minute to find that. There's the deck lid release, which, I mean, that's pretty old school. I haven't seen that since back in the 80s when I had a Toyota. And over there is the fuel hatch release. And then coming back up here, there's a so there's your dimmers, blind spots, lane keeping. This isn't a keeping assist, this is just alert. And then here is the traction control. Nice round vents. I've told you 100 times why I like those. Just very adjustable, easy to move around. They move air really well and create kind of a vortex, which is nice. So coming over to the steering wheel, I know I'm going kind of fast and I'm a little bit breathless, but I've been running around because I'm kind of last minute on a bunch of photography and stuff, and it's really kind of been a juggle. But anyway, back to it. Over here, here's your driver information stuff. I'm sorry, infotainment. I do that every time, don't I? I always say the left side is anyway. Here's all of your infotainment stuff. So you can see the voice controls up there. You change the mode. Mostly that's to choose audio inputs. This moves tracks. It also can select up and down through some of the menus. And then there's your volume. And here's your telematics. Pick up the phone, hang up the phone. Watch for it. There will be a short video on how to connect a phone to this and almost every Kia of this generation. So that hopefully will be useful to some people. I get that question a lot. Over here, this is the driver information control. So this controls what's on that center screen up there. So you have your cruise control over here. Here's your page through the menus up there. This moves up and down through selections and submenus. You push it to select. This down here is actually your distance control for this adaptive cruise. So Kia did a good job on this adaptive cruise. It's very nicely done. There are some that are better at it, but there are plenty that are worse too. So good job on that, Kia. Thumbs up again. Over here, you have your washer wipers, etc. Pretty self-explanatory. Up and down or run it, and maybe it'll focus. I mean, it would be nice. Yeah. Up and down to run it, and sets the speeds. Pull it towards you to run the misters. I will point out, I don't know if it's just this car or if this is a thing across the board. When I pull it to run the misters, it does not run the windshield wipers. I have to manually move this to run the windshield wipers. Slightly annoying, but you get used to it, I'll give it that. Over here is lighting control, so pretty obvious. You turn this to where you want it. This runs the fog lamps, and then you have your signal turn, so you move this to let everybody know where you're going. Looking right here really quick, over here you have a tachometer. This does not have paddle shifting, but it does have the option for manually shifting. Nicely done, a little turbo in this, or a little engine in this, so that's a nice thing to have. I don't know that you need it, but it's nice to have. Down there's the engine heat. Over here is the speedometer. Very optimistic, 160 miles an hour. I would say that this car is probably capable of a 120-ish. I don't know. I haven't been over 85, but that's where I would say that that's way optimistic. It's probably more like up in here. Down here's the fuel. Very good fuel economy in this car. I put some freeway time on it yesterday and been driving around town with it otherwise, and have been pretty impressed with the amount of miles. Over here, the driver information screen, it's pretty basic. It does most of the stuff. You see there's some drive modes. You can do that through a button too. I'll show you that. I've been using those. There's 3. I like sport mode when I'm around town. I like smart mode otherwise. Smart mode kind of pops back and forth between them, but mostly aims towards this, maximizing fuel economy. So when you're on the highway, things like that, that's a great thing. When you're around town and you want a little more fun times, I would go with the sport mode. Really, all this is changing is steering response. Sport mode makes the steering a little bit stiffer, and the transmission response. So transmission is a little more aggressive about shifting, things like that. Over here's your gear option, and then I'll just flip through some of these menus, and the driver attention warning, that's pretty much standard throughout Kias as far as I know. Basically looks to see if your head's nodding off. It's hit and miss. It tends to err on the side of caution, so it will go off a lot more than you probably want it to. Several driver's assistance options. So looking through these, you can see some of the stuff you can change. It's not terribly complicated, but there you go. And there are a few other things you can change. You can change some of the interior lighting, how you want the sound to do, things like when you come off the freeway, do you want it to lower the sound, that sort of stuff. And then back to the drive modes and moving along. This has push button start. I believe that is standard across the board in the Forte now. And here is the infotainment. This is UVO, was what Kia calls their infotainment interface. It's very, very well done. Not nearly as basic as you would expect. There is more going on than you think. This is sort of like the main menu screen. And then you can see there are fast buttons, so you can jump to radio, media, nav, just the map, that sort of stuff. Setup you will use fairly often initially, because that's how you'll do things like, how do you want things to look and work, right? So that I'll show in the video, in another video, I'll show you how to connect a phone, and then you can see some other stuff you can work, set options for in setup here. Very nicely set up. You can see you can flip through the screens. There's more stuff. Really good infotainment. Works really well. Fast response and fairly intuitive. Not the best on the market, but by far better than any of the worst. Really, really good system. Over here's volume. Over there is your tracks. Got some Dukes lights right there. You can see the bacon and emails over here. Although they have a different symbol. It's a round thing, so it's more like an on and off, huh? Well, that's no fun. I want my bacon and email. Anyway, here's where the SD card for the maps go. Down here, this is climate controls. Pretty basic. You can see how I just turned it off really quick. Turn it back on right there. You can sync it. This is dual. I don't think that's standard. I believe that's part of an upgrade. Down here is the defrosts. Going to need to know those. Otherwise, the controls are pretty basic. This is where you tell it where to go as far as where you want the air blowing. And this is the fan speeds. And then you can recirc or not. I mostly just set it to auto and give it a temperature. So I don't think many people do more than that. One of the upgrades in this package is the QI charging system here. So you turn it on and off. Somewhere. Oh, that's to indicate that it's charging. So you throw something up, you fill your phone or whatever up there, and wirelessly charges. Down here you can see there's a 12-volt plug, aux plug, USB, and another USB. So that one's power only. This one is data. Just kind of an FYI. And then this is where I've been dropping my phone. I can put it up here, and I've done that a few times, and it's just fine. But when it's down here, it's easier to grab. and I'm less likely to forget it because I can see it right there. Up here, I can't really see it. But, you know, to each his own. Shifter. So, see, you got bun warmers and coolers. Here's the drive mode button I was talking about. You just push this to flip through them. The shifter here, I like the feel of this. It's a good little shifter. So you just grab onto it. You can push the button there. You grab onto it. You pull it through the gears. You push it over to the side when you're in drive, and you can do select gears. It automatically puts it in sport when you do that. Bun warmers and coolers for the passenger. Drink holders right here. Pretty good placement. Handbrake. And as you know, when I'm parked, parking brake is on. It's just how I roll or don't roll. Haha. But there you go. And then you can see pretty decent storage in here. There's another USB underneath that flap. And that's about it. But you just look at this interior. It's nicely done. Like I said, I don't like the black on black much. They did add some cream, so there is some kind of cream going on up at the top, which lightens it up a little. But I'm just not a big fan of black on black. But I do know that it's a trend. It's what happens. I do like this. I love this dash design. Nicely sculpted. It just makes kind of it takes this, for want of a better word, cheap car and makes it feel way more premium. Also, these are soft touch materials. These are not hard plastics. So they tend to deaden the sound. The hard plastics are all down here and they're textured to match this. So you don't really notice it until you touch them. Back in the back, you can see decent back seats. I had 3 kids across back there. I would not recommend that as a long-term solution, but it does work. So there you go. That's what I got. This has been Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, sitting in the 2019 Kia Forte. Talk to you again soon. Subscribe.